Hi, and welcome to 647, 6 stories for 7 a.m. because there is a famine of truth in our land. And this is your quick news fix. And the truth starts now. Well, it's Glide Slope Thursday. The Tapas Bar is open. We're all wondering, how far away is the weekend? Let's see what the chef has prepared. We've got 4 tapas offerings. Let's go. Evidence of revival. Check it out. Bible sales are up 42% since 2022. And religious app downloads are up 80% since 2019. And contemporary Christian music downloads on Spotify are up 50% since 2019. Things are changing, folks. People are waking up. All right. Now, I didn't know whether to put this as an arms study or just something to freak you out. Well, if you're a Catholic, get ready, because Tehran is unveiling the St. Mary metro station with a rare tribute to Armenian Christian heritage. Can't make it up. Here we go. The Tehran municipality has revealed the interior of the soon-to-open St. Mary metro station, featuring a striking bas relief of an Armenian church, a rare public acknowledgement of Iran's Christian heritage. Who knew? Located on Line 6 at the intersection of Ostad Nejatolhali and Karim Khan Zan streets. Have to make a note of those. Near St. Sarkis Cathedral, a key Armenian apostolic church in the capital. Can't believe it, right? If somebody told you that pre-bombing, you'd say, no, you can't get an over-under on that at all. All right. That was the second tapas. Here's the third tapas. It's kind of Catholic again. Report: Vatican grants Muslim plea for dedicated prayer room. So you go up, then you come back down. This is a Breitbart story from Simon Kent. A dedicated prayer room for Muslims has reportedly been opened inside the 500-year-old Vatican Apostolic Library in Rome, after a plea for the separate carpeted space was made by visiting Islamic scholars. So Muslim academics had requested an area in which to pray, and the library had agreed. Some Muslim scholars have asked us for a room with carpet for praying, and we have given it to them. According to the report, Father Cardinale said its collections include, in this library, incredibly old Qurans, alongside Hebrew, Ethiopian, Arabic, and Chinese works. We are a universal library, he explained. I'm going to explain something to you about the way the Muslims would handle it. The library, located within the Vatican City, traced its origins to Pope Nicholas V in 1451 and has since served as one of the world's leading repositories of Christian and human knowledge. The opportunity given by the Vatican for Muslims to pray in their own designated area is at odds with Islam's own strictures for its holy city. Here it comes. Non-Muslims are not allowed to enter Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Non-Muslims who attempt to enter Mecca can face severe consequences, including imprisonment and deportation. So Mecca versus Vatican City. I think Vatican City's up 1 on the fairness scale. All right, the last tapas offering here has to do with the Supreme Court of the United States. SCOTUS. The justices will hear lawyers argue about whether states can consider race in drawing new districts while seeking to comply with Section 2 of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which prohibits racial discrimination in balloting, according to NBC News. Now, you got to love this. The 1965 Voting Rights Act is something the Democrats can't shut up about, right? Because they're all about racism, and that act is against racism. But Democrats in Louisiana made sure that they did districting by race. So they did redistricting maps, and then they gathered all the black families in 2 districts because they know they'll all vote for the left. So Louisiana was required last year to redraw its congressional map, which divided it and other states into sections or districts for representation in the House of Representatives. Republicans are doing that right now because they've got control and they've picked up 19 seats before the midterms. So it's not guaranteed, but it looks like that's the way it's going to go. And that's huge. That's causing the Dems to freak out. So the House of Representatives was sued under the act to ensure that there were 2 majority black districts. The original map had only 1 majority black district in a state in which black residents make up a third of the population. Earlier this year, the Supreme Court heard the case on legal issues of a narrower scope. In June, the court asked the parties to re-argue the case, and you know what? This law is like silly putty in everybody's hands. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's the same thing with the gospel. This is the problem with the church. This is the problem with all these different Christian factions, because they get the Play-Doh Fun Factory out. They take the gospel and ram it in and go, let's make a triangle this time. Let's make a square this time. SCOTUS is doing the same thing. They should only let Judge Thomas and Alito talk on these things. All right, that's the end of the Tapas Bar. Take 2, biggest civil liberties case in U.S. history. You'd think that someone would be talking about this in the legacy media. It's the biggest civil liberties case in the history of the U.S. And of course, Dems are standing there with all the evidence all over their face and hands. Congressional investigators collected a stunning 30 million lines of phone data mapping contacts between conservatives and the Trump White House. That's 30 million calls to the White House. What happened? Did somebody get through or not? If they got through, who was it? Why did they get through? We want to know all this. So 30 million lines of phone data mapping contacts between conservatives and the Trump White House in the name of investigating the Jan 6 Capitol breach, a massive dragnet that raises civil liberty concerns about the lack of limits on the ability of lawmakers to snoop on Americans' private phone calls. They were going to gather all this information and then use it against Trump in the 24 election. You got to love Democrats, right? And guess what? All of our punk Republicans on Capitol Hill knew this. They knew this happened. Chris Wray didn't even deny that it happened, and nobody did anything about it, right? Now that Trump's up there flexing, well, there's a little more courage available. Not much, but a little bit, and most of it is being handled by journalists, and not many of them. So this is John Solomon who is digging all of this out. So let's see. The mountainous collection of phone records were revealed to the FBI, led by Chris Wray, in late 2023 by former Rep. Adam Crybaby Kinzinger, a GOP member of the Democrat-run House Jan 6 Select Committee. This guy was never a Republican, in name only. The cachet was offered to the Bureau on the eve of the 2024 presidential election as evidence without requiring a warrant. 30 million lines of phone data, and you don't need a warrant for that? Yeah, you do. All right. So the memo, says Kinzinger, told the FBI that the phone data had been collected by then former Rep. Denver Riggleman, an ex-Republican, an ex-Rhino, who was a staffer on the Capitol Riot Committee and who later helped Hunter Biden's legal team in its efforts to cast doubt on the laptop belonging to Joe Biden's son. Do you get it? Kinzinger and Riggleman. Does it occur to you that these were plants so that they would look like Republicans and then vote against it, and in this case, try to get Hunter Biden off the hook? The FBI memo does not reveal whether the Bureau ever took Kinzinger up on his offer, but it does reveal the sheer magnitude of phone surveillance project the Democrats ran by using congressional subpoenas to gather phone records about Americans' contacts with the Trump White House. And yeah, right, Chris Wray never took them up on it. BS. Kinzinger told the FBI that the J6 committee collected and linked a substantial amount of telephone data and noted the FBI may already possess such data. No, it doesn't. You gave it to Wray, and you did it in some clandestine way so that Wray has plausible deniability. Guess what? They got other things on Wray. They're all going to jail. Kinzinger, Riggleman, and Wray. And I say, Wray! All right, take three. Oh, this is one of my favorite groups. House Republican Leadership Chairman Elise Stefanik on Tuesday urged Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to open a probe into funding for the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR. And if you don't get it, and if you haven't been watching what's been happening in Europe, and especially in London, and especially with a Muslim mayor in London, and young girls getting raped and police doing nothing, and I'm talking about hundreds of them, and that's what's coming to New York City. And it's already happening all over Texas. There are more mosques in Texas and more every day than the rest of the United States combined. Why would they pick Texas? Because Texas is the fifth largest economy in the world. It's the railhead of MAGA. It is a place that has a huge number of electoral votes. It's a place that's been compromised by the Bush family. So it's rhinos that vote with Democrats. It is seriously tilting not only purple to blue, but purple to blue, and then the Muslims have their own town that they're building, and nobody is stopping them. And they're saying right up front, Sharia law, once you step into the perimeter of our town, Sharia law is what we are going to operate under. And they've been going around to accompanying communities and saying, hey, unless you want a big boycott and trouble on your hands, get all this pork out of your stores. We don't like pork. We don't want to see it. And we're going to make serious trouble for you if you don't start knuckling under to our demands. You know what? Go to the Vatican because you need to look at things and then go, hey, you know what? We need our own private prayer room. These cats, they ask, don't they? And all the stupid idiots fold. They wouldn't fold. You can't even go to Mecca, let alone, could I have a place where I could have some holy water and maybe, have some quiet time with Jesus, just try saying that there. You'd be lucky to take your head home with you. All right. So these foundational connections, coupled with CAIR's conduct following October 7th, 2023 terrorist attacks, merit renewed scrutiny. Yeah, and a little more than that. The lawmakers wrote, CAIR, CAIR, has focused its efforts on supporting anti-Israel campus protests, while peaceful protests is protected. Many of these demonstrations have led to incidents of anti-Semitic harassment and violence. Guess why? Because those college kids are paid $3,000 a month to show up and be that way. The lawmakers also claim that the organization has supported anti-Israel protest leaders and recently settled a lawsuit that would have forced it to reveal its funding sources. So if it was up and up, why wouldn't they want to reveal their funding sources? Because it's coming from Hamas, it's coming from terrorist groups, and they should be shut down. What a stupid country we are. All right, take 4. Man, here's some more. This time it's not us, though. It's the Netherlands. ASML and TSMC can disable chip machines if China invades Taiwan. You get it? They're all worried that these super chips are going to be grabbed if Taiwan flexes and takes over Taiwan in a blitzkrieg. So ASML Holdings in NV in the Netherlands and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company have ways to disable the world's most sophisticated chip-making machines in the event that China invades Taiwan, according to people familiar with the matter. Yeah, I feel comfortable about that. Officials from the U.S. government have privately expressed concerns to both their Dutch and Taiwanese counterparts about what happens if Chinese aggression escalates into an attack on the island responsible for producing the vast majority of the world's advanced ASML super chips. And the company officials reassured everyone about its ability to remotely disable the machines when the Dutch government met with the company about the threat. The Netherlands has run simulations on a possible invasion in order to better assess the risks, they added. So from the Netherlands, they can disable these chip-making machines in Taiwan if China attacks. But guess what? And this isn't in the article. The CCP has more spies in the Netherlands than they do in the United States. And we don't even know how many are in the United States because there's probably 6 to 7 figures of students all working in high tech. So this is just going from bad to worse. So the CCP has more spies in the Netherlands than in the US. Guess why? Only one reason, ASML. That's the whole reason they're there. And 15% of the gross sales for ASML are to China. I don't know how anybody is comfortable with any of this. The remote shutoff applies to Netherlands-based ASML's line of extreme ultraviolet machines known within the industry as EUVs, for which TSMC is its single biggest client. EUVs harness high-frequency light waves to print the smallest microchip transistors in existence, creating chips that have artificial intelligence uses as well as more sensitive military applications. So all of those things are combining to make for no room for the deplorables. So this stuff we have to pay attention to. That's take 4. Take 5. Hegseth is flexing over at the Pentagon, this time at the press corps. So the Pentagon press corps rejection of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's new policies regulating access and reporting guidelines are calling it an assault on journalistic principles. Are there journalistic principles in the United States? I don't think so. That anyone leaks to them, they scoop it up and they print it immediately. And they're claiming the First Amendment. They don't care about it when we're shut down. But if they're shut down, you know, what they want to do is report where a major military offensive is going to happen and the exact time so that our enemies get warned. Forget it. The executive editor of the Washington Post, Matt Murray, said the policy runs counter to the Constitution's guarantee of freedom of the press. Conservative leading news outlets such as the Washington Times and Newsmax, cable news channel and competitor to Fox News, barely reported, said that they would not sign the rules either. Everybody's on their journalistic high horse, right? Because why would Hegseth want them all to sign this agreement? Because if they break it, they're going to prosecute the hell out of them. However, when the Department of War published the new policies earlier this month, the Pentagon Press Association and its allies raised only one issue with Hegseth's staff, that reporters would likely refuse to sign any statement that they understand, in quotes, the contents of the new policies, according to emails and senior Pentagon officials. So what good is it if they're saying, yeah, we won't claim that we understood any of this? It's all about litigation. So much of the Pentagon Press Association membership condemned this, and Hegseth wants to curb the solicitation of sensitive and classified information. And that's unreasonable, right? The proposed restructuring will stop unsigned journalists, people who haven't agreed to this, from entering certain areas without an escort, barring them from offices of senior military leaders unaccompanied, and informing them that they should not solicit sensitive information from military officials. Only in our country can these people make a fuss about something like that. Any other country, they take them out and shoot them. So this is ridiculous. And the First Amendment, I would love to get in a time machine with these journalists and go back in front of the founding fathers and say, can we claim the First Amendment if we want to get secrets from military generals and blast them all over the world? They'd just be staring. All right, we're at take 6. This is the ARMS Advanced Reprobate Mind Studies. And wow, this is our first time to study a gubernatorial candidate and a front runner. Mickey Sherrill keeps changing her story about Naval Academy cheating scandal. I don't buy it. This is Ryan King writing this. So Mickey Sherrill can't keep her story straight. And guess what? It's not easy to keep your story straight when you're running as the Democratic candidate for governor of New Jersey. Historically, crazy blue, right? But now there's a conservative guy and he's catching up to her. And her story keeps falling apart because she's lying. All right, the New Jersey Democrat gubernatorial nominee keeps changing her account of her involvement in an infamous 1990s U.S. Naval Academy cheating scandal, and alumni don't believe her latest explanation. I don't buy it. And I'm speaking on behalf of actually a lot of classmates that reached out to me, said Brent Sadler, who graduated from the academy in 1994, the same class as Sherrill, and serves as a senior research fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Yeah. Sherrill last month confirmed she didn't walk during her class's commencement and claimed that she was penalized because she didn't turn in some of my classmates. You get the Dem spin on this? This is like the AG of New York, right? That she's saying, you know why I'm being penalized? Because I'm such a person of honor, I wouldn't turn in my fellow classmates. You buying that? I got some real estate to sell you. All right, Cheryl has refused to release her full disciplinary record. Think about that. If that was the case, why not submit your record? Because she's lying. All right. So she has refused to release her full disciplinary record, which would paint a fuller picture of what happened. A source who was involved in the Naval Academy's investigation into the cheating scandal also expressed skepticism about Cheryl's version of events, saying there would have to be more to the story based on the punishment she received. She wasn't able to walk at the commencement, and then she stayed at the Naval Academy after graduation for like 254 days. But she doesn't want to talk about what was going on there. She says, I was just waiting for my assignment, right? Helicopter pilot. They make them wait 254 days. None of this passes the smell test at all. So the reason it's an arms study is because you're running for the governor of New Jersey and spinning all of these lies, one after another, one conflicting with the other, hoping the lefty Naval Academy will fold under pressure from Dems and the Congress. Can't make it up. Can't make it up. And guess what? As we sit here, she could be the next governor of New Jersey doing all that. It's nuts. It's just absolutely nuts. Politics is just broken in this country. It's terrible. So you're not terrible. And Thursday's not terrible. This is Glide Slope Thursday. You know what you do. You pull back, get one notch of flaps, create that nice little air cushion under the wing, push the yoke forward, get the nose going down, and get this perfect glide slope right into Friday and then into the weekend. And then it's all fun and recreation. The only responsibility you have is to like us and to share us and to make comments on YouTube and to push us out to your friends. And you know what? Whether you do that or not, I'm going to ask Jehovah God, the God who answers prayers. Here's my prayer that you will bless all these people, dear God, through Thursday, through Friday, and all the way through the weekend. God bless you and have a great Thursday. Thank you.